Hello and welcome to the Next in Line podcast, where we are helping to prepare you for whatever is next in line. As always, I am your host, Chance Pitts, and I'd like to thank you for tuning into this episode. Guys and gals, welcome into another episode of the podcast. I'm very excited to be in here in the studio with y'all to share another episode with you. And guys, I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty fired up tonight. The reason I'm so fired up is because we've had so many people reach out to us and just give us an idea of the role that we've been able to play in their personal development journey. And it's been a very broad spectrum, to be honest with you. It's been people that have been doing this for a long time, who have been working on themselves and improving themselves, whether that's through diet and fitness or whether it's through their mental health or their spiritual health. They've reached out and said things like we've been able to kind of relight a fire for them, get them back on the right path, or just to kind of keep them going and move them to a positive mindset, and to just kind of keep their eye on the ball, if you will. We've also had interactions with a lot of people who are brand new to this whole personal development scene. People that have decided to take on the task of working on themselves, to becoming a better version of themselves, one that's more conducive to the life that they want to live, due to listening to what the content that we've put out, or seeing the hard things that we've decided to take on, or just the journey that we've had for ourselves. So it's so cool and so humbling to see the impact that we're actually able to have here. It started out as just this theory that, hey, we could share our story, we could help people, and to actually see it helping people is a completely different thing, and it's super exciting. So thank you so much to all of those people that have reached out and shot us messages. Typically, the best place to reach us is at Next in Line Development on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We got all of our daily content on there, but more importantly, that's where you can contact us and get the fastest response. You can also shoot us an email at nextinlinedevelopment@gmail.com. That's another way you can reach us as well. Social media is typically the fastest, guys, and that's where we've been hearing from most of our people. And along with that, guys, we're seeing some bump in the numbers as far as just general episodes, podcasts, and followers go as well. So I'm super excited to see that increase in followers and the people that we're reaching. And I'd like to welcome all the new people that are just now getting into the content and just now listening. And if you are new, guys, we do have a little bit of an ask here at the show. If you receive value from this episode or any other episode of the podcast, we would ask that you share the show with like-minded individuals who could receive that same kind of value. That's the number one way for us to grow and to reach more people and, in effect, help more people, guys, because that's what we're here to do, and that's what gets us going and so excited, is just getting the opportunity to help other people. Another way you can help us help more people is by interacting with us on whatever platform you find yourself listening on, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. If you like, subscribe, comment, leave us a rating or review, it's going to help us pop up in the search bar a little bit earlier when people look for personal development or self-help type shows. So guys, there it is, the social media. There's the housekeeping, a little bit of growth going on for us. And I also, guys, I wanted to do a little bit of weekend recap and some announcements before we get started. For the weekend recap, we were able to sneak down to Pearsall and do some dove hunting with some great friends. We were able to celebrate one of the friends' upcoming marriage. So super excited, a crazy time in his life, moving into that phase and just kind of starting down that new path. It's a very exciting deal, but we just had a ton of great guys down there, a lot of positive energy, had competition, great food, great hunting, just a beautiful place down there. So it was good to get down there and reset and get ready for this work week to fire back up and get re-engaged into everything that we're doing. Guys, along with that, I said some announcements. My good buddy, Mr. Lane Diven, is taking on the Spartan Ultra up in Dallas here in a few weekends. And that is a 31-mile ultra marathon. For those of y'all that don't know, it also has 60 obstacles built into it, anything from rope climbs to cargo net climbs, sled drags, sandbag carries, rope climbs, all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm so excited and fired up and excited for him that I actually decided to take this on as well. So I will be joining him out there. That is what's next in line for Lane and myself, that Spartan Ultra in Dallas. Along with that, another announcement that I would share with y'all just to keep the eye on the ball with the podcast is we've got some upcoming episodes that we're going to be dropping on the interview side of things. I've got a couple of guys we're going to be sitting down in the next few weekends to get interviews in on. They're very inspiring individuals. Super excited to get them on the show and to share their story. We've also got a few people that we're in conversations with about getting them on the podcast. Still trying to get all the details worked out and the calendar dates as well. So we definitely have more of those episodes. I know those are episodes that everybody enjoys. That's typically the time when we reach the most people. They get shared the most, kicked around, and we see the most growth out of those. So that tells me that that's the stuff y'all want to see, and that's the content y'all enjoy consuming. So we're definitely going to work on getting more of that out to y'all. But guys, now that all the housekeeping, the recap, and the announcements are out of the way, I want to go ahead and dive into our topic for today. And within that topic, we've got two of the world's most favorite topics that we're going to talk about, which are group projects and traffic. I know that everybody's just two favorite things in the entire world, so we're going to make sure to cover those within this. But to start out this topic, I wanted to ask a question. Guys, what comes to mind when we hear the word liability? Now, it's probably one of these few things. It's probably car insurance. It's probably a lawsuit. It's probably a car accident. Or if you've been with us for a little while, maybe it's episode 21, a Thoughtful Thursday episode we did way back when called Moving Liability. Now, it's probably not the last one. It's probably more of the first one, that car insurance, right? So what does insurance actually do? Well, as we know, insurance protects us, guys, in the event of something bad happening. But more than that, it also protects the other people involved in the situation, especially if we end up being at fault. And insurance, though in this context we're talking about cars, is not just for cars. There's business insurance, there's health insurance, there's financial insurance, there's life insurance, all these different kinds of insurance that we've got to make sure that we come out in a decent spot given that some kind of negative situation occurs. Now, when we start to evaluate just everyday life, we start to evaluate the things that we see on the day-to-day, we find out really quickly that there's not any kind of true insurance for our everyday life. There's not something that exists in the event that we slip up and we accidentally eat that donut in the break room when we break our diet. There's no insurance for embarrassing ourselves in front of a potential significant other or somebody that we like so much. There's no insurance for not getting up, accidentally hitting snooze on the alarm clock, and missing our workout in the morning. There's no insurance for not getting an assignment done or a task done that we have at work or at school. And there's also no insurance for spending our money irresponsibly on something that we shouldn't purchase. So what do? Well, here's a question. How do we operate successfully in a world where there is no insurance and our actions have consequences? And the answer to that question, guys, is you have to bring the absolute best version of yourself into whatever situation you find yourself in on a daily basis. Whether it's with your diet, whether it's with relationships, whether it's with your workouts, your career, or even your financial health, guys, no matter what, you have to bring the absolute best version of yourself to that situation. Now, guys, I promise that we're going to talk about two of our most favorite things in the world, traffic and group projects. So here we go. Did you know that your life is basically just one big and more complicated version of those group projects that we used to have to do in school? And if you don't believe me, I would like you to consider this. Every day when we get up, we typically head towards class. And class looks a little bit different. It's your job. It's your family. It's your church organization. It's the school board meeting we have. It's the parent-teacher association meeting that we have in the evening. And we usually have things that we have to do within that. We have to learn or we have to train on a particular topic or subject. And sometimes, guys, we don't even get that training part. We just get thrown into the circuit. We get thrown to the wolves. We have to fend for ourselves, and it's not quite as fun. But after we get some kind of learning or training on that particular topic, we typically at some point find ourselves amongst group members that we must work with. And typically we don't get to choose what group members we end up working with. But when we find ourselves in that group setting, in that group project type setting, we collectively are tasked with achieving an objective. And we've all got to work together to achieve that objective in the best way possible so that we can hopefully get a good enough grade to pass. And now, guys, today I wanted to talk about a very specific group project since we're a part of so many different ones in life. A very specific group project that doesn't necessarily fall under any of the categories that we had listed out earlier. It doesn't fall under the diet, the relationships, the workouts, the career, or our finance, but instead it lies in that second topic that I said we're going to talk about, that favorite topic, which is traffic. And guys, traffic is the ultimate group project. And some of y'all might be wondering, how is traffic even a group project? Well, firstly, guys, it's a bunch of people collectively working towards a positive goal, a fast and smooth trip to their destination, whether it's work, whether it's the gym, whether it's taking their kids to school. We're all trying to get to the same place with the same goals. Everyone in that scenario has a car, and they've got decisions that they make involving that car. And whatever they choose to do with that car is just like their contribution to the overall group project or the flow of traffic. Also, guys, we know that each person can negatively or positively impact the overall traffic conditions for everyone else based off of those decisions that they choose to make. And also, guys, yes, all of the typical characters that we had in school are also present here. You've got the leader. That's the guy that's not afraid to get out and break the speed limit and get from point A to point B. He's not really pushing the envelope too bad, but he's a little bit more brave than the others. And typically he has a few people following him, tailgating him, who aren't as brave as far as breaking that speed limit. But since they had a leader to do so, they're tagging along. We've also got the procrastinator, guys. This is one that usually worries or pisses off everybody else because they wait till the last minute to get over and decide to make a decision about what they're going to do. We've also got the confused. We've got the people that have no idea what is going on in traffic. They're not paying attention or they're distracted by something. Then we've got the worrywart, guys. We've got the one that has way too many car links before or between the car in front of them and themselves. Maybe they got their hazards on all the time, and they're doing more harm with their carefulness than they're doing good. Then, guys, we've also got the workhorses. Those are your 18-wheelers. Those are your freight haulers. Those are guys just trying to get from point A to point B, trying to keep this world going around. We've also got the reckless individuals, guys. We've got the guys that are cutting across several different lanes of traffic just to get to point A to point B. They're making their own exits on the interstate there, cutting across the median. Their only intent is getting from point A to point B as fast as possible, not worried about anyone else. Then, of course, we've got the no-show, but the no-show doesn't really count much in this instance because he doesn't affect traffic very negatively, right? So you might be thinking, guys, what does all of this group project talk and all of this traffic talk have to do with insurance? And if you're thinking this, then buckle up because I'm about to tell you. Yes, I know that was a terrible pun. But, guys, today when you hop in the car, everything goes great. Traffic's moving good. Your favorite song or podcast, possibly the Next in Line podcast, is playing on the radio. And you even had time to stop and get coffee at your favorite local coffee shop. And everything's moving good. The group project is going right. We're moving in a positive direction. We're moving fast. We're getting to work on time. Everything's going to plan. Until out of nowhere, guys, you hear the screeching of tires. You hear a horn go off in the distance. And then you feel the impact of your car colliding with another vehicle. And once all that's said and done, you decide to get out. You make sure everyone's okay. You start to examine the damage. you play through the scenario of what happened in your head, and you start to try to look for who is liable. And there's that word again, guys, liability. But once all that's sorted, guys, information's exchanged. Your driver's license numbers are exchanged, your phone numbers are exchanged, and then most importantly, like we talked about before, insurance, guys. So let's talk about insurance. There's about 4 major things I want us to note about the insurance. Number 1, the insurance has to be purchased before the accident. You can't use hindsight being 2020 to go in and try to get insurance after the fact. It just doesn't work that way, guys. So that's number 1. It must be purchased before the accident. Number 2, it needs to be the proper coverage to fit your needs. That means that you need to make sure that your policy is capable of doing everything that you need it to do given your particular circumstances. Next, guys, insurance, like we talked about, is not only meant to protect you. Insurance is meant to protect everyone that is involved with this scenario. And lastly, guys, if insurance is done right and effective, it can lead to peace of mind. That's before the crash and after, whenever you're trying to figure out how you're going to get back into a vehicle, how you're going to get back on your own 2 feet. So, guys, you're probably asking another question out of the back of this. We've talked about insurance. We've talked about group projects, all this crazy stuff. What does this have to do with the world of personal development? So I encourage you to remember that question that we asked earlier. How do we operate successfully in a world where there is no insurance and our actions have consequences? And then look at the answer to that question that we put out, guys. Remember that you have to bring the absolute best version of yourself into whatever situation you find yourself dealing with. And that, guys, that right there is the ultimate form of self-insurance. That is what takes the place of not being able to have insurance for these daily occurrences and these little slip-ups that we're bound to have. Bringing the best version of ourselves to the table every single day is the best insurance that money can buy. And guys, that's no matter if we're talking about the diet, if we talk about slipping up and eating that donut in the break room, our relationships in our family, whether it's just directly our family, whether it's the close relationships that we have, or it's an organization that we're a part of, whether it's our workouts, whether it's our spirituality, our career, or our financial health. This self-insurance is to protect us when life's proverbial fender benders and accidents occur. But guys, it's super, super important for us to break down and really talk about and dive into those 4 different things that we talked about that surround insurance. So guys, let's go ahead and do that right now. Number 1, it must be purchased ahead of time. Guys, we know that within all of these areas we just talked about, diet, relationships, workout, spirituality, career, financial health, all of those things, we've got to get our self-insurance ahead of time. We have to plan for success. And that's what it really boils down to, guys. We've got to plan for the unknown. With our diet, we've got to meal prep. We've got to make sure that we've removed all of the bad things from the pantry, removed all of the bad things from the fridge, so there's not the opportunity to slip up. With our workouts, we've got to plan ahead. We've got to know what we're going to do when we go to the gym, or know what we're going to do when we get home from work, so it's not as easy to make the excuse to not go, or it's not as easy to get there and completely not have a game plan and get a terrible workout and no benefits from the workout. Even with our family and our relationships, if we know we're lacking in a certain area and we need to improve, self-insurance is developing within that, learning how to adjust and adapt so that we can positively move ourselves in the right direction and prevent any of the slip-ups like lack of communication, like not connecting with our kids or our family members, or not being organized with those different groups, the parent-teacher association or the school board or the church group that we're a part of. And guys, it's also being prepared ahead of time is a safety net in case anything goes wrong. We want to have it just like that car insurance in case we get into an event. Now, it's not always going to be a situation where everything goes wrong. Not everything's a negative thing, but it's like a rainy day fund, guys. You want to have it there just in case something happens. And also, guys, it also helps us be conscious that accidents do happen and they will happen at some point in our lives. Having that insurance kind of helps make us a little bit more aware of what's going on in the world and just keeps that relevant for us that there are going to be times when things don't go our way. Now, number 2 from that, guys, we have to make sure that our coverage is appropriate for our needs. And the appropriate coverage is different for people at different levels. New people versus experienced people in various areas will have different coverages that they require. Now, let's talk about it from a dietary standpoint. If you're brand new to the diet scene and you're very undisciplined, like myself, I went through this personally, you have to eliminate things from your reach. You have to clean out the fridge, get the ice cream out of there, get the chocolate chips out of there, get the just unhealthy snacks, the little Debbie's in the pantry, all those things that you don't need to have and that are going to be very, very tempting to you early in your diet. You need to get rid of the sodas, all that stuff. Just get rid of it, guys. Versus if you're somebody that's been doing this for a while, maybe you can be around that stuff a little bit easier without having the temptation to cheat on your diet. Maybe you can afford to have things that are sweet within your diet that are a little bit healthier versions of that ice cream or even yogurt or some of the things like that, because it will allow you to get that little bit of sweetness or that little bit of satisfaction from having something that is on the edge of your diet, but it won't cause you to just slip up and go down this snowball and this rabbit hole of just eating all these terrible things for you. It's very relevant. It's the same thing with if you're looking to get physically active and you're just beginning, or you're just somebody that goes out and walks, your coverage might look like not really having to have a plan, just setting aside time throughout your day, 30 minutes to make sure you go for a walk, versus your coverage for being a runner, like a marathon runner or something like that, or somebody that's very dedicated to bodybuilding or lifting, who really has to plan out their moves. They have to make sure that they've got their shoes, their running vests, a change of clothes, a headlamp, all these different things. Their engagement, their self-insurance, their coverage is a little bit different and more involved than that other person. And same thing with a manager and employee. Their coverage has to be appropriate for them needing to be able to manage a ton of people, to put the timesheets in correctly, to make sure that the P&L is all the way it needs to be and everything's accounted for the month. And versus an employee who might just have to show up, take care of business, and then forget about work whenever 5 o'clock comes. It's a little bit different for everybody, guys, and nothing's necessarily wrong one way or the other. I'm not putting down the walker. I'm not putting down the person that's new to diet, and I'm not putting down the new employee either. I'm just saying that our coverages have to be relevant for the situation that we find ourselves in life. And number 3, guys, we talked about the best version of you is meant to benefit and protect everyone that is involved. If it's in a diet and a workout, guys, maybe that's encouraging others. Bringing the best version of yourself is showing other people that it is possible to have a good diet and to get out there and do the workouts. And maybe it also provides the best quality of life for those people around you because it's bringing a healthier and happier you. Guys, also bringing the best version of yourself to relationships and family means that you are being the absolute best version of yourself. You're communicating well. You're supportive to those individuals. You're caring to those individuals, and you're engaged in the conversations and the relationships that you have with them. And also, guys, a side note with this one of bringing the best version of yourself to the project, we should all want everyone else to bring the best version of themselves to the project as well, to that group project, to the relationship, whatever it is. Because, guys, if we ever get to a spot to where we want other people to maybe not look as good, or maybe maybe on the flip side, not make us look as bad. If we want someone to be less than their full potential, that's like asking someone to get in a wreck and not have insurance because we want them to get in trouble. We don't want the heat to be on us. That's not what we want, guys. We want everyone to have insurance so everyone's protected. We want everyone to be able to support one another and have the best possible outcome to make this as close to normal and as close to okay as it can be at the end of the day. Now, number 4, guys, we talked about bringing the best version of ourselves in order to provide peace of mind. And what that means, guys, is that the peace of mind is understanding that there's nothing else that we could have done to prepare for this situation. And that is a super, super freeing feeling. Knowing that there was nothing else that we could have done and we did our absolute best is a great, great experience. Sometimes things just don't fall our way, and we've got to understand that that's just part of the story as well. But with that, guys, there comes no kicking yourself in hindsight, thinking I could have done this better. I should have made this decision rather than just sitting around and not doing anything. And it also, guys, it helps you eliminate worry in the future with issues that you might face because you know you're ready. You know you're prepared. You don't have to worry about anything coming your way that you can't handle because you've made yourself able to handle anything. And guys, those are just some easy things that we can talk about insurance and relate to right there. And I highly encourage all of you to go out and to get this insurance for yourself. And I encourage you to keep those 4 things in mind whenever you get it. You have to get the insurance before you need it in the accident. Prepare yourself early. Bring the best version of yourself to the situation from the get-go and work on that prior to needing it. Then, guys, make sure your coverage fits your needs. Make sure your plans and your just overall preparedness is appropriate for what you are doing. If you're taking on bigger tasks and more responsibility, your coverage is going to have to be a little bit more. It's going to require a little bit more commitment. Then, guys, after that, it is meant to not only protect you, but to protect everyone involved. Remember that, guys, because that is very important. You always want other people to bring the best version of themselves because that helps you. It helps everyone. It helps your family. It's not just a one personal or selfish thing. Then, guys, it can bring us peace of mind like nothing else. Having that insurance, having that capability, knowing that you're going to be okay no matter the situation, no matter what's thrown at you, is a very important thing. Guys, if we know one thing, we know that life is not always going to fall in our favor. We are going to have slip-ups. We're going to have these fender benders. We're going to have these failures within the group project here and there. And when we do, we know that life isn't always going to be forgiving or kind to us necessarily. So we have to be prepared. We have to start working on our self-insurance right now. We have to start bringing the best version of ourselves to life every single day. And like we said, it's not just for us, but it's for everyone that is involved. And if you find yourself thinking, guys, that it's too much effort to try to do this, or the insurance is just too expensive, wait until you get the price for not having the insurance. Guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of the podcast. Make sure you're checking us out on social media and keeping up with us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. That's at Next in Line Development on all 3 platforms. Make sure you share the show with like-minded individuals and always be prepared for whatever is next in line.